Well, hello again. It's been a long winter break, but we're back with more Scottish classic motorcycle racing here at Round 1 in Finavon in Forfar. Well, thanks again for joining me as we continue our racing coverage from the Scottish Classic Motorcycle Racing Club's Round 1 event from Finavon Hill in Forfar. Now we start the second video with the age-related races, which is basically based on the age of the rider and not which particular bike you actually ride on the day. Okay, first up on the line are the over 60s, over 50s and the combined over and under 40s class. Now your starter today, of course, is Davy Hillis, just waiting on the OK from the lap scorers. So as they leave the line, it looks like an excellent start for Jim Allison on the 580 CCM. Jim Allison goes into turn 1. Looks like Fergus Moody is in second spot as they crest the hill to return to the centre of the track. So as they make their way into the centre of the track, it's still Jim Allison in first place, Fergus Moody second, and that looks like Brian Hamilton on the CZ in third. Mike Bell behind him on the Jawa, and of course Stuart Riddle on that lovely twin port CZ. So as we wait for the riders to come into the centre of the track, it's still Jim Allison on the CCM being hounded by Fergus Moody on the BSA. Fergus looks like he's going to have a little go at Jim here. Jim Allison manages to hold Fergus at bay, at least until they complete lap 1, but Fergus just dives down the inside and takes the lead of this race. So Stuart Riddle on the CZ, they are still managing to keep Mike Bell at bay. Mike, of course, the father of the two Jawa riders of Lewis and Liston. Mike occasionally rides his BSA Gold Star, but on this occasion he's mounted on his 500cc Jawa. So as Stuart Riddle makes a long drag up the hill, absolutely beautiful day for classic motocross. Now as the leaders come into the centre of the track, it's Fergus Moody who is still in the lead from number 153, Jim Allison on that lovely sounding CCM. The remainder of the pack go through. It's Mike Bell, Stuart Riddle. Looks like these two are having a decent scrap in this race. So it's Fergus Moody still in the lead, beginning to open up a bit of a gap to the second place man, Jim Allison, as Fergus starts to power up the beautiful Finavon Hill. So it's still Fergus Moody, number 122, on that lovely Classic BSA. It's your race leader. Looks like Fergus has got a very substantial lead over Jim Allison at the moment, as Fergus comes round to complete lap 2. Jim Allison just going through there on the CCM. That's Jim McQuillian, number 66, in the front there on the Micro. And number 118 is Kenny Harper on his brand new, absolutely immaculate twin port CZ. Now Kenny, of course, has a twin port exhaust front pipe on this bike, but strangely goes into a single tailpipe, which is a strange configuration for that particular bike. So here's your race leader coming round to take his first win of the day in the age-related classes. Another very dominant ride by Fergus Moody on that lovely BSA. So that's win number 1 for Fergus in the age-related races. It looks like Jim Allison is going to come through in its second spot here on the CCM. Mike Bell has taken 3rd place, and Stuart Riddle comes round to finish this race off in a superb 4th place. Okay, now we're back to the pre-1975 class. We saw some really good racing from these guys in the first half of the day's race programme. Your starter there at the front, David Hillis, just waiting on the track marshal, checking the track to make sure there's no obstructions for the next race. So it looks like they're all under starter's orders. And as they leave the line, it looks like Lewis Bell and Brother Liston have hit the front in their almost identical 500cc Jawas. Ian Robertson in 3rd with Les Calderwood on that borrowed BSA in 4th. So as they crest the hill and come into the centre of the track, it looks like still Lewis Bell in the lead, Liston Bell in 2nd, Ian Robertson 3rd, and Les Calderwood in 4th. And Les, of course, is riding Alistair Aird's lovely BSA. So as they head into the centre of the track, here's your leader. It's Lewis Bell, number 9, on the Jawa, with Brother Liston very close behind in an almost identical machine. Very quick riders, these two, and the bikes are very fast as well, these old Jawas. Ian Robertson sitting there in 3rd place. So as they head to the far side of the track, it's Liston Bell who is now taking the lead, number 98, with number 9, Brother Lewis, in 2nd place. Always have some fantastic battles between these two brothers when they get these big 4-stroke Jawa machines on the track. So as Liston makes the turn to head up Finavon Hill, Lewis is still trying to do his best to close in on his older brother. But as they come into the centre of the track, still Liston, number 98, followed by Lewis, number 9. Lewis looks like he's going to try and make a move on his older sibling here. Ian Robertson still keeping a watching brief should any of the two brothers have mechanical problems. But it's still Liston Bell in a very commanding lead from Lewis 2nd and Ian Robertson in 3rd. So as the two brothers head towards the centre of the track, it's still Liston Bell with a narrow lead over brother Lewis. Lewis looks like he's going to have a go here as the... Yes, Lewis takes the lead and heads up Finavon Hill with Liston in hot pursuit. As they come round to the centre of the track again, it's still Lewis holding his older brother Liston off by a very small margin. Both these riders, of course, mounted on big 500 Jawa machines. So as Lewis comes round to take the last lap flag. Now that is Robert Kennedy there, number 54. You may remember Robert was riding a very quick little Cotton Star Maker in the previous races before the break. And behind Robert is Les Collierwood on Alistair Aird's lovely BSA. So here's your race leader and possible race winner. It's actually Liston Bell who is taking the lead once again, with Lewis trying to make his move down the inside as they head towards the checkered flag. It looks like Lewis has made his move, and it's neck and neck as they take the final turn before the checkered flag. Lewis dives down the inside to steal the win from older brother Liston. What a fantastic little race. Okay, Les is bringing Alistair Aird's bike home for another few valuable championship points. Les informs me that he will have his CCM up and running by the time they reach round 2 at Lockerbie in a couple of weeks' time. Okay, we're back with the big boys again. This, of course, is the pre-1984 class. These guys have this race and another 2 races still to come in this round 1 event. So as our starter, Mr. Hillis heads towards the start elastic. Looks like everything looks okay. Lap scorers giving him the okay. So as they leave the line, it looks like Davy Loudon has got the whole shot into turn 1 on the YZ Yamaha. Jim Grieve in second spot, Andy Malik third, Graham Smith fourth, and it looks like Steve Moore in fifth on the Michael. But Jim Grieve has already hit the front on that very quick 1981 490 Michael. So it's Jim Grieve first, David Loudon second, Andy Malik in third. So as they head to Cresta Hill, that big 490 will get its legs stretched going up this immaculate Finavon Hill. So it's still Jim Grieve in first place, David Loudon second, Andy Malik there in third, with Graham Smith once again on that RM400 Suzuki in fourth. These two riders have had a really good battle between them in the previous races. Not much to choose between Andy Malik and Graham Smith. So we'll see if we can pick out a few of the other riders. That's Steve Moore, number 47 on the 490 Michael there. Behind him is Mike van der Meer on the 250-81 reed valve Michael. Jim Colligan there on the old Suzuki DR 500. This of course is Jim's spare bike. He normally races an 81 Michael, but has decided to take his old DR Suzuki out for a spin. Okay, there's your race leader opening up a gap to the rest of the chasing pack. That's Jim Grieve, number 15, on that very quick Michael. second spot is still David Loudon there on the YZ Yamaha. Davey, of course, was our club champion in 2018. But it looks like Graham Smith has made the move on Andy Malik and overtaken Andy Malik on that 83 500 Armstrong. Of course, this track will be well suited to this big 4-stroke machine. But that's your race leader going through, Jim Grieve. David Loudon still doing his best to try and get on to terms with Jim Grieve, but can't seem to make any ground on the Flying Michael man at this minute. Now that's Mike van der Meer on that lovely 1981 250 reed valve Michael. Mike, of course, a very accomplished rider and races quite a lot with the Scottish Classic Motorcycle Racing Club. That's Steve Moore, number 47, going through on the 490 Michael. But here's your race leader. It's still Jim Grieve, who of course has won every other pre-1984 class race on the day. So as far as Jim's concerned, a clean sweep of wins up to this date. So as Jim Grieve goes through to start his last lap, Steve Moore again there, number 47, on the 490 Michael going through. So as your race leader comes towards us, it looks like win number 4 for Jim Grieve. Of course, the 2 more races to go for the pre-84 class, but it looks like another very dominant win for Jim Grieve on that very quick German-made 490 Michael. Okay, next up we are back to the over 60s, over 50s, over and under 40s class. As you may well have deciphered, this is a combined class. Just the riders just lining up for the start of this race as the track marshal comes round to give the thumbs up to say the track is okay to start this race. So Mr. Hillis heads towards the elastic, and as they leave the line, it's an excellent start from Mike Bell there on the big Jawa, but it looks like Jim Allison is going to take the whole shot into turn 1 with Fergus Moody once again in second spot. But it's Jim Allison there on the CCM who is currently in the lead with Fergus Moody in second, Mike Bell in third, Stuart Riddle in fourth, Brian Hamilton fifth, Kenny Harper in sixth. As they head in to the centre of the track, it's still Jim Allison on that 1974 CCM. Good old-fashioned classic racing bikes, these Alan Clues machines. Got a very unique sound when you hear them on the track. But Fergus Moody looks like he's looking to make a move already after lap 1. But Jim Allison still managing to keep Fergus at bay. So as they both head to crest Finavon Hill. It looks like Fergus Moody has just slipped down the inside of Jim Allison and temporarily taking the lead. Jim looks like he's going to have another go here, but it looks like Jim Allison has taken the lead as they come round to complete lap 2. So as they head towards the line, it's Jim Allison who is leading this race from Fergus Moody in second place. Now the number 14 there is Brian Hamilton on the little CZ. Behind Brian we have number 51, that's Ian Ridley. Ian just goes through just to take that position from Brian Hamilton. So as they cross the start and finish line, we look towards the leaders of this race, and it looks like Jim Allison is still managing to hold on to the pole position in this over 60s, over 50s and over and under 40s class race. So Jim Allison comes into the turn to start his last lap but one, looking in a very commanding position to win this race. Fergus Moody a little farther behind than he's been in this race previously, but Jim riding really well on that big CCM. Now the rider in the blue going through there is one of the lady riders in the club, that's Ellen Cahill. Looks like Fergus is trying to make his move going up Finavon Hill, trying to steal that position from Jim Allison, but as they come round to the centre of the track, it looks like Jim Allison may have done enough to hold off Fergus Moody on that lovely BSA, but Fergus dives down the inside, but can Jim fight back to hold that position? Fergus Moody is going to steal this race unless Jim can dive down the inside, but it looks like a win for Fergus Moody, with Jim Allison unfortunately finishing in second. Okay, we're back to the pre-1975 class now. Number 22 nearest us there, that's Darryl Wiley. Ian Ward just taking his position, and the two Bell brothers on the far side of the lineup. The bike in the yellow tank, of course, is Ian Robertson on the YZ400 Yamaha, but as they get ready to leave the line, Mr. Hillis still waiting on the OK from the track marshal to get this pre-75 race underway, but it looks like we're all good to go. And as they leave the line, it looks like Liston Bell and brother Lewis are going to go into turn 1 in positions 1 and 2. So as they head over the top of Finavon Hill, it's Liston Bell on the 500 Jawa who hits the front. Lewis in second there, number 9. Robert Kennedy third. Ian Robertson in fourth. Robert Kennedy, of course, now riding his 1975 CCM. Ian Robertson going through there in fourth, with Derek McCauley on the Bultaco in fifth. But as they come round to start lap 2, it's Liston Bell with Lewis in second. Very quick machines with these guys on board, these big 500cc Jawas. So Lewis looks like he's getting a bit closer and maybe thinking about making a challenge on his older brother as they head down to the centre of the track. Yeah, Lewis looks like he's having a go around the outside. Yes, it is. It's Lewis now takes the lead from brother Liston as they cross the line for lap 2. It still looks like Robert Kennedy's in third place. And there's Les Calderwood once again, heading through on his borrowed CCR. But it's Lewis Bell, number 9, who is your current leader on an almost identical machine to his brother. As you can see there, Lewis lost the front mudguard of this bike in a previous race, but that won't stop the bike from taking part in the event. But it looks like Liston has now stepped through to take pole position in this race. Liston doing a bit of showboating there with a nice wheelie as he crosses the start and finish line for the last lap of this race. Brian Aird going through, Les Calderwood number 50. That's Brian Aird coming through on the BSA number 71. So there is your race leader and your possible race winner of this race. That's number 98 Liston Bell. Looks like he's got this race in the bag. It doesn't seem to be any sign of brother Lewis. May have had some mechanical problems at another part of the track, but looks like a very easy run to the finish line for Liston Bell. So it's Liston Bell who takes the win in this second age-related race. Okay, here we go once again with the pre-1984 class. This class, of course, used to be called the Twin Shot class, but the committee changed the title to the pre-1984 class. So it looks like it's good to go with the starter, Mr. Hillis, and it looks like Davy Loudon has shot from the gate and is going to get the whole shot in this race. Jim Grieve again in second place, Andy Malik third, and Graham Smith in fourth. So as the riders head on their way to start this lap 1, it looks like Jim Grieve is still in the lead, David Loudon second, Graham Smith and Andy Malik having another bar bashing contest there in the third and fourth spots. In fifth there, it looks like Sam Sibbald on the TT500 Yamaha. But as they head into the centre of the track, it's Jim Grieve on the Maiko in first, David Loudon on the Yamaha in second, Graham Smith on the Suzuki in third, and Andy Malik on that big Armstrong in fourth. Sam Sibbald looking good as well in this race on that TT500 Yamaha. Mike van der Meer going through on the 81 Maiko. Steve Moore making the turn, and that's Alistair Aitken just going through. But it's Jim Grieve, a race leader once again. Of course, if Jim wins this particular race, that will be win number 5 for the day, with one race left to go. Jim has been very dominant on this Maiko throughout the day. David Loudon still doing his utmost to get onto terms with the flying Maiko rider. Davey, of course, won the pre-1984 championship in 2018 on this bike and rode absolutely superbly all season. So as they head to make the climb up the Finavon Hill, it's still Jim Grieve on that number 15, HG1 490 Michael. Davy Loudon still doing his best to put in a challenge against Jim Grieve in first place. That's Sam Sybil there and being challenged by Mike van der Meer on the 250 reed valve Michael. So it's 4-stroke versus 2-stroke. Sam riding really well today and currently being challenged by Mike van der Meer. That's Dougie Harrow coming through there on the Curtis Honda. But there's your race leader. That's Jim Grieve heading towards win number 5 of the day. Davy Loudon a bit closer than he has been in previous laps. So as we look for the race leader coming through, there's your race leader. That's Jim Grieve, who is now heading towards win number 5. This of course is the last lap. Davy Loudon quite close now, could possibly make a challenge before the last turn. Davy dives down the inside, but Jim Grieve is not going to let this go without a fight, so it looks like win number 5 for Jim Grieve as he takes the checkered flag from Davy Loudon on the YZ Yamaha in second. So next up we have our last and final race of the day for the over 50s, over 60s and over and under 40s class. Now the track marshal just coming round to tell our starter David Hillis that the track is clear to start this race, so we're just waiting on the thumbs up from the lap scorers. So it looks like we're good to go. So as they leave the line, it's a good start from Brian Hamilton and Mike Bell, but it looks like Jim Allison on the big CCM is going to take the whole shot. So it's Jim Allison first, Fergus Moody second, it looks like Mike Bell in third place, Brian Hamilton fourth, Stuart Riddle fifth and Kenny Harper in sixth. So as they come towards us, it looks like it's going to be another titanic battle between Jim Allison and Fergus Moody as they power their way up Finavon Hill. Fergus dives down the inside of Jim, but Jim's not giving up without a fight and powers his way back into the lead. So as they come into the centre of the track, it's still Jim Allison, number 153 on the CCM, being hounded by Fergus Moody's lovely BSA. Fergus makes a dive down the inside. We'll see if Jim makes a challenge to try and steal that place back. So after lap 1, it looks like Fergus Moody is in the lead, Jim Allison second. Number 98 is Mike Bell. As they crest the hill, we're looking at Stuart Riddle, number 164 on that lovely twin port CZ. Behind Stuart is Kenny Harper on that immaculate CZ. Kenny of course used to ride Bull Tacos, but of course for 2019 he's decided to go with a CZ for this year's championship. So our race leader is still Fergus Moody with Jim Allison in second place. Fergus looks like he's got a very commanding lead after only the second lap. So it looks like Fergus Moody has a very decent gap to Jim Allison, number 153 in second place there, as they cross the line. That's Brian Hamilton again there, number 14 on the CZ, with Ian Ridley, number 51, on that immaculately turned out BSA. So as our leaders come towards us, it's still Fergus Moody, number 122, on that BSA. Jim Allison there on the Alan Clues designed CCM. Jim looking good for at least a second place spot in this race. So as they turn to take the last lap flag, that's Mike Bell, number 89, on the big Jawa, with Kenny Harper behind him, and Stuart Riddle bringing up the rear. Mike, of course, used to ride his old Gold Star at these events, but is racing a Jawa in this particular event. So here's your race leader. It is now Jim Allison, who is looking to win this race. Seems to have overhauled Fergus Moody at the far side of the track, so it looks like it could be a win here for Jim Allison, number 153. That's if Fergus doesn't make the move on the last turn. Can Jim keep it together for this last turn? Yes, it's a win for Jim Allison, with Fergus Moody in second. So with only 2 races remaining at this round 1 event here at Finavon Hill in Forfar, this of course is the last race for the pre-1975 class. As you can see, a bit of a decimated field here, but that'll probably be due to broken riders or broken machines. So as you line up for the last race of the pre-1975 class, the track marshal just taking himself off the track. We're good to go with the starter David Hillis. So as you leave the line, it looks like a good start from Les Calderwood there, but Ian Robertson hits the front. Colin Flockhart's well up there on that Shenny BSA, but it's Ian Robertson first, Les Calderwood second, and it looks like now it's Derek McCauley in third, with Colin Flockhart in fourth. But as they come towards us, it's Ian Robertson in the lead, Les Calderwood second, Derek McCauley in third on that lovely Bultaco Persang, as they make their way up the long drag up Finavon Hill. Derek McCauley looking to make a move on Les Calderwood there, but there's your race leader. That's Ian Robertson on that lovely 1975 YZ 400 Yamaha. This of course is a bike that Ian built for this season during the winter of 2018, and it seems to be running extremely well. Colin Flockhart going through there, number 40. Number 98 there is of course Liston Bell, seems to have made some kind of late start to this race. But keep your eye on Liston, he will soon make his way through the pack. So as we head to the far side of the track, it's still Ian Robertson on the 400 Yamaha 2-stroke in first place. Second place now is Derek McCauley on the Bultaco Persang. A very quick little machine, this bike of Ian Robertson. This of course is just one of Ian's Yamahas. He has a little 360 Yamaha as well, which he uses occasionally. So there's your first two places going through. Liston Bell already up to third place after a late start, giving that big 500 Jawa the message. Colin Flockhart going through with Brian Aird, number 71. Brian Aird making the move on Colin now for that track position. Certainly one of the nicer bikes in the Scottish Classic paddock, this bike of Colin Flockhart's. It's a lovely Shaney BSA. So there's our race leader, Ian Robertson, with Derek McCauley there on the Bultaco in second. Derek, of course, is a local man from Arbroath, so in this particular case he's not had far to travel to this Finavon track. But Derek always very quick on these very light and nimble Spanish Bultacos. So as they cross the checkered flag to start the last lap, Brian Aird, number 71, going through with Colin Flockhart there, number 40, on that lovely Shenny BSA. So we're just looking for our race leader as he comes round to take his last lap. There's your race leader, Ian Robertson, coming round for the win in this pre-1975 class race. A very dominant win for Ian on what has been a fantastically quick bike for him at this round one event. So it looks like the win for Ian Robertson on the two-stroke YZ 400 Yamaha. Liston Bell taking the second place position there. That's Brian Aird coming through with Colin Flockhart just behind him as they both go into the last turn before the checkered flag, but it looks like Brian is going to secure that racing position. Okay, this of course is our last and final race of this round one event here at Forfar, and I hope you've enjoyed what you have seen so far. This is the pre-1984 class. As you can see, once again another decimated field, but by this time in the proceedings many riders are either had enough or they have had mechanical problems, but we still have enough riders to give us a race at this last race of the day. So as they leave the line, it looks like Andy Malik on the outside. No, it's Jim Grieve. Jim Grieve looks like he's going to take the whole shot. David Loudon second, Andy Malik third, Graham Smith in fourth, and it looks like Graham Smith has taken his IT Yamaha out for a spin. Graham, of course, was racing his RM400 Suzuki in the previous races, but has decided to take his IT Yamaha out for a little blast in this last race of the day. So as the riders head towards us to the centre of the track, it's Jim Grieve who is your race leader. Jim, of course, has won every other pre-1984 class race of the day. David Loudon still in second spot. David has been unable to get close enough to Jim Grieve today to make the pass, but he has still put in a very consistent performance on that YZ Yamaha. So Jim Grieve absolutely flying on this 81 490 Michael as he turns to head up the Finavon Hill. This track, of course, is ideally suited to this big 490 Michael, where you can get these big machines opened up. So as our leaders come towards us, it's still Jim Grieve with David Loudon in second position. These two riders have opened up a very substantial lead on the rest of the chasing pack. So as they make the turn to complete lap 2, it's still Jim Grieve in first place, David Loudon second, and it looks like Graham Smith on the IT Yamaha, who is now taken third spot. Now that's Steve Moore there, number 47, but I don't think Steve is in fourth place. I'm sure it's Andy Mallock that's in that position. I think Steve had a late start to this race. So as our race leader, Jim Grieve, number 15, comes round to complete lap 3. Looks like it's going to be a complete sweep of wins for Jim on this 490 Michael. And you can't say he doesn't deserve it. Jim has ridden absolutely superbly today. Andy Mallock on the 500 Armstrong, number 43, going through there. Andy, of course, very quick on these big 4-stroke machines. So our race leader comes towards us once again. Doesn't look like anybody is going to be able to make any sort of challenge to Jim Grieve today as he comes round to take the last lap flag. So that's your race leader, Jim Grieve, just taking the last lap flag. It looks like it's going to be a full run of pre-1984 wins for Jim at this round 1 event. There's Andy Mallock going through with Mike van der Meer on the 81 250 reed valve Michael. So as they head over the crest of the jump, Andy Mallock still looking good on that 1983 500 Armstrong. So there's your race leader, Jim Grieve, who is heading on his way to take his 6th win of the day in the pre-1985. So it's a full sweep of wins for Jim Grieve on that very quick 81 490 Michael. So I hope you've enjoyed all the racing footage from this round 1 event here at Finavon Hill in Forfar, but please stay tuned to my YouTube channel for more racing action from the Scottish Classic Motorcycle Racing Club's 2019 Racing Championship. This video was brought to you in association with WorldSport, the world's #1 supplier for all your off-road and leisure sportswear. Just visit their online website for more details.